All right, it's in between. The rules are, as always, we
There
get
are
to
no
talk about
rules.
what we want. We get to say what we want. And Uncle Todd says it to you kiddies every week. Kiddies, you might want to go away because we're
Fuck
gonna
off, kids.
We're going to use mommy and daddy words. Thanks, Sean.
There.
I might bleep that one just because the kids didn't have a chance to
setup.
turn off. So we don't usually start with this kind of talk, but Sean, after the end of recording for this week, asked, hey, I'm going to go downstairs and get a beer. Does anybody want one? Richard and I both kind of went, for different reasons. And mine being, Richard, if I may jump in and say what he said, it'll make me sleepy. Mine's even worse that I went last night. We kind of had a long day with the family. Abby, my daughter, came and said, I really want a pizza. Will you go to Grimaldi's with me?
Oh,
and I
hey,
said,
twist my rubber
hey, you know
arm.
what? I like Grimaldi's because they'll bring out my Kalamata olives I can put on it. Love it. They also have a good wine. I sit down. The kid waits on us every time. She knows what I like. She brings it. And I'll be damned if I didn't tell her don't bring me a second, but she brought me a second. And I'm sorry, when it's on my table,
it's there. You gotta
I
drink
have to
it.
drink
Yeah.
it. My 52-year-old ass this morning woke up, and it was like, I wasn't hungover, but you know that tired feeling you get. What you said, sleepy. I just have never been completely awake with you guys today, which I feel like I did pretty good for 5 episodes.
You
Not
put on
feeling
a show.
too.
You put on a good face. Yeah.
But I mean, to that point, you were saying about going out to eat.
What was it? We have a favorite restaurant that we go to. We always sit at the
you
bar.
do. Yes,
Yeah,
you do.
Sean's
Let's put it this way. You don't have, before you get into your story, I can already tell you, when he goes to the bar, they know what drink he wants. They know the extra shot he wants. They're all, hello, Mr. Richard. Here's
And this
your
is the
stuff.
restaurant that when we finish each movie, we go to celebrate.
have dinner there.
And Chris joins us. JJ's joined us once, I think.
But this is only our third time at the end of this movie. So.
Right. And I've eaten there with Sean, but as a group, we do that. And I even noticed that when Richard walks in, it is literally like the king has arrived. They know him. So
you get this when you go to a restaurant on a regular basis,
They get to know you.
right? I mean, if you're there,
hang on.
We're adjusting mics. There we go.
you know, if you go to a restaurant on a regular basis, they get to know you once a week, twice a week.
Yeah.
You know, we have dinner there once a week, if not twice a week.
Well, you owning a store knows the benefits of knowing your customers. And
Right,
stuff
exactly.
Like
And
that.
so
Right.
they know us when we walk in just because of the frequency that we walk there. We make sure we tip okay just because of that same reason, because we go
Right.
there all the time.
Right.
But yeah, they know what drinks we're going to get, and we'll sit down, and then they'll just automatically start
Bring them out.
refilling it. At some point, we have to tell them,
No more.
Okay, bring us the check.
Right.
There always has to be that moment. Otherwise, they would keep us there for 8 hours, and we would never get out of that
They'll
restaurant.
just pour you behind the bar and let you
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
sleep it off.
But I'm at the point now where I can't, at my age, I
Dang.
can't have a drink during the day because I have to go sleep it off. Like I have, if we have a couple of beers right now, I would go home and take a nap.
Right.
Right. And there's something in the evening. What happens is we'll have a couple of drinks with dinner. We'll go home. We'll put a movie on or something like that, and I'll be asleep halfway through it.
Right.
Just like, okay, that's good.
Well, so today we talked about potentially you guys come up to Zeus North, as Sean called it, my house.
Yep.
And the plan had been, if we can tolerate, let's do 2 weeks of recording at once. But so last night I get home, and I wasn't drunk, but it was enough of that I was like, hey, and of course my kid then said, hey, I want to watch Mindhunter. Well, I didn't make it all the way through Mindhunter with her. I was like, and my plan had been finish Mindhunter, go do 1 week, wake up this morning, do another. You guys leave early, and it kind of puts the kibosh on it. I don't want to say that drinking ruins my life, but now I know this. I'm also a football fan, and today's Sunday. I want to watch football this afternoon, and I usually drink beer. I'm not doing it today because I'll make it through 5 minutes, and I'll just be like,
Well, I had to go 2.5 months without drinking because I was having a liver test done to find out if I had alcoholic liver disease, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, or alcoholic fatty liver disease. Alcoholic fatty liver disease is caused by just too much drinking. Non-alcoholic is biological. They don't know what causes it. There's no treatment for it. It's just something that happens to, I think, 1 out of 5 people. So
Right.
anybody can get it. It turns out I was just drinking too much. And so
So does that mean you're an alcoholic, or is it just called alcoholic because that's the
the
tendency
alcohol
of people
causes
who...
it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's either caused by alcohol or it's not caused by alcohol.
I'd not heard you refer to it in that term, and I was like, shit, I don't see you as an alcoholic.
And no, and that's the whole thing. The doctor said, all right, you need to stop drinking for 2.5 months so we can do this test. And I
Right.
said, all right, fine. And she starts going, now, if you have any problems, we have medications that we can give you and everything. I'm like, no, I just won't drink. It's very simple.
Right.
Now, I am a fast drinker, and when I say drinker, I don't mean beer, I mean liquids. If I have a glass of water, I will drink it fast. If I have a glass of tomato juice, I will drink it fast. If I have a beer, I will drink it fast. And I don't know if that's because I can't smell, and so
Maybe.
I'm not have to experience the same way as other people, but I've always been, if I have liquid in front of me, I want to get it into me quickly. So I would come home, I'd have a beer, and then I'd have some tequila, and then I'd have some vodka. Maybe I'd have another beer, and then it's,
No shit.
Anyway,
I'd be done at
but,
that point.
I'm also drinking water with
Right.
that as well. But with 2.5 months of not drinking, the habit of coming home and having a beer has
Right.
kind of been broken, or having a couple of glasses of tequila or something like that. Now it's, I come home, I have a drink, and then a couple hours later, I'm like, oh, wait, I can't have a beer. I forgot about that because
Right.
I haven't been doing it for 2.5 months.
Well, and not specifically talking about alcohol per se, but there are a lot of things that we do that are part of our habits. Mm-hmm. I have to have caffeine in the morning.
Me too.
I wake up and the first thing I do is I have caffeine. Now, I don't like coffee.
Oh, do you not?
So I also go and work out. So I take a pre-workout, which has 150 milligrams of caffeine in it.
Mm-hmm.
But when you look at the stuff that I do during the day, there's so many little habits that I've built in, so many little small things that I do that, yes, when I get home from work, I'm like, I'm going to have a drink with dinner.
Yeah.
Right? It becomes this kind of a thing. So it's easy to imagine getting to a place where the doctor says, you need to cut out,
Right.
you need to lose some weight, you need to stop drinking, you need to do these small things because you're having too much excess of something, whether you realize it or not, just because of your habits.
And the doctor did say it's not one of those things where, all right, you're not going to drink during the week. That means you can save your 5 beers for the weekend and just go crazy. No, it's you can only drink this much a day, and it doesn't bank it for the weekend or anything.
And I'm hyper aware of the caffeine. Like I have 150 milligrams of caffeine in the morning from a pre-workout, and then I have an energy drink that I drink around 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and it also has about 140. So I know that caffeine has like a 500 milligram detriment to your kidneys and liver. So I keep it under
that.
300 just so I can stay there.
Caffeine is
I would
just
love to have
a
a third caffeine drink during the day, but it pushes me at that upper limit.
I mean, cigarettes are just a drug. I mean, nicotine and caffeine are just drugs that we've said, okay, you can take.
Oh, yeah.
Beer, we say, oh, you can only take it certain times. And THC, we say you're not supposed to take it at all unless you live in certain states.
Yeah, that I get into that argument with my mother all the time because she tells me about the evil of marijuana, and I'm like, okay, you're a registered nurse. You should also know there are very many medicinal reasons that's actually starting to look to be a good thing. You need to quit that kind of thinking because really it comes down to, you can go look at the drug wars, that many times the reason they become illegal is because the government couldn't figure a way to tax the incomes and all that of that kind of stuff.
The most dangerous thing
it was very rarely about actual problems.
The most dangerous thing about marijuana is being caught with marijuana.
Yeah.
There was a really interesting article in NPR, and it was specifically talking about that time George Bush brought up the crack packet and kind of waved it, and it was kind of an expose that this was the bust the DEA engineered to happen so he could get this crack packet. But the article...
They're in Washington. They couldn't have gone down the street and got a crack packet. They didn't need to bust anybody.
Well, no, that was it. They couldn't. They couldn't find anybody
really?
in D.C.,
Really?
and so they had to stage this guy. The DEA had to find this seller and trick him into going in one of the parks in D.C. in order to sell it
So
to
they could get him in
Because the
DC?
guy was
Ah.
like, I don't know where the fuck that is.
Right.
Right? The White House. Where the fuck is that?
Right.
And they had to trick this guy to get this packet that George Bush would then wave in front of the things. But what was more fascinating to me was when they started talking about the shift in attitudes toward drugs, and it wasn't until the Reagan era, actually the end of Jimmy Carter, start of Reagan era, where Republicans seized on this as an enemy, and the audience started thinking about the general public started trending, polling that drugs were the number one issue over the economy,
Right.
over jobs, and it was kind of this flip. Prior to that, they were saying that Nixon actually had more money in drug rehabilitation programs
Right.
than imprisoning and agents, and the flip in incarceration rates in Reagan went through the roof.
There's a show on Netflix called Narcos. Have you ever?
I haven't
have
watched
not.
it.
I've heard of it.
It's
I love
in
it.
It's one of those things that's in my queue, and when I get to it, it'll be because I've gotten through 1,000 other things.
So
Yeah.
it's basically they take and forgive me if it starts in the 70s, but it's more 80s era drug war that goes down to the Mexican cartels and things like that.
Right.
As I will often do, when I become interested in something, I almost become obsessed, needing to know more, and so I started seeking out. There are a couple of documentaries, and for the life of me, I can't remember this one, but it was It was an Academy Award nominated documentary, and it's almost like it took what the fictional show does. We're going to show you the real stuff, and I mean, they show you the cartels like here are bodies that are like, and it's awful. But in all those, you begin to see. So you bring up the Reagan era. That really one of the reasons that the Republicans in power turned towards it was because of the influx coming into America was so great that they began to say, and that's why I said the taxation, they could not find a way to control it. They were losing billions of dollars worth of tax revenue upon recreational type stuff that they decided at that point to start focusing. So there were a number of political reasons why they would do that. How fucked up is that it's not about the health of your society? It's about money.
Yep.
Well, we're seeing that shift right now with marijuana in states legalizing it because they realize there's a revenue source and they can actually make money off of it.
I mean, I'm still shocked that Texas hasn't done that just to claim that they've lowered illegal crossings in the border because now while they were coming over,
that's
it's
a good
legal
point
here now.
Yeah.
Well,
this all starts from drinking too much. I joke with my kid because she's so fascinated that her generation is going to most likely
drink less and smoke less and have less sex and all that kind of stuff.
It's actually what she says. She says is the legal. When I grow up with my kids, they're going to say, "Mama, do you remember a time when marijuana wasn't legal?" I said, "It's a very good chance that will happen for you." And she keeps saying to me, she won't ask her mother this because her mother gets a little more persnickety about don't do drugs. But she's like, if you were given the choice, would you drink or would you smoke? And I said, well, your dad loves beer, and I'm trying to teach myself to like wine as much. But I'm sorry, the effects that I have the next day always give me marijuana over alcohol.
You never get
always.
hungover from weed, yeah.
Never. I
keep trying, but never.
I may get sleepier because marijuana, if I do too much of it, really will make me go. But
for some reason, for me, it doesn't make me tired.
Does it not? It's at the end of the moment that it makes me sleepy.
It doesn't do a thing for me.
Does it not affect you?
Not really.
You're one of those people. Then
there have been a few people a few times that I smoked marijuana where it's been laced with something else that I've had kind of hallucinogenic effects.
That's bad shit.
When I've had some like hallucinogenic effects, but otherwise, I smoke it. I cough a little bit. My eyes turn red, and then I'm bored.
Okay, well, I may smoke, I may cough, my eyes may turn red, but I'm never bored.
No, it's not bored. No, food tastes better, jokes are funnier.
But I also don't care. Like I don't. It's not. There are so many things out there, whether it's alcohol or marijuana or other things, margaritas or other recreational things that I just don't judge. I don't care.
Well, I'm not.
It can be as legal as it wants to be. It's fine with me.
So and I keep bringing up my kid because half of why I talk about this kind of thing is because I have a teenage kid and I'm trying to help her and. She'll ask me, have you been drunk? Yes, but I don't. I have never been a drinker that drinks to get drunk.
That's not your job, to get drunk.
I don't like the effects of it. So last night, like I said, I wake up with a hangover because 2 glasses of wine to a 52-year-old kind of just makes your brain go, bleh.
Wine, too, can be
bad. But the same with pot. I don't know that. Well, then again, when you smoke pot, you're doing it to get an effect. Yeah. So I guess I do that.
Not necessarily. I mean, just like some people, people who have seizures and stuff like that.
True.
That will help them. They're not doing it for the effects of the THC. They might be doing it for the CBD or whatever.
Right.
But yeah, THC can affect people and help them recover without messing them up.
So you bring up CBD, and I had an experience with that recently that we went. There was just behind us. There's an arena where a minor league hockey team plays, and they'll have little convention type stuff. So they did a home and garden show, and I'll be damned if I'm not shocked to walk into that and there's a CBD thing with just the conservatives everywhere, and everybody's cool with it.
Well, okay, you say conservatives.
I live in a very
we're the liberals,
affluent conservative
we're the liberals
area.
Okay, affluent would be the difference. We've definitely moved into a place where marijuana legalization affects most Democratic voters in a positive way and most Republican working class voters in a positive way.
Yeah.
Most working class Republican voters do believe in the legalization of marijuana. It's only their kind of leadership and infrastructure that still treats it as a negative, and it's a certain age, not to be too terribly ageist, but that's kind of where it is.
And for me, and the reason I say that, so living in a northern suburb, and this, you get a lot of this, you get the affluent people move here. Now, we don't necessarily live on the affluent side of town. You go over there and there are, multi-million-dollar homes on golf courses. Those people trust me, they're so frustrating. They're so conservative that
they're smoking weed.
And I say that all the time. I'm like, great with you. I don't care how many millions you have. You're doing it too. Quit judging me.